Let me quickly bring in Major Mohammed Ali Shah, defense analyst at this point as well. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, the fact that Ukraine and Poland's distance is just about an hour, where he is in Poland currently, Joe Biden, it's a town called Kresaw, is just about an hour away from the Ukrainian border. So this clearly is also conveying a lot, isn't it?
Absolutely, Uday, and I agree with my friend Sanjeev Srivastava over here. And see, the border where he was, it was 105 miles away from Ukraine. That's 170 kilometers away from Ukraine. Very close by. And I'll give you a small example there so that everyone can understand. Very logical point. Supposing you and I and Sanjeev, three of us, are traveling to Mumbai for some work. And we have a friend over there in Pune who is dependent on us and who has work from us. So when we go all the way far to Pune, to Bombay, will our friend from Pune make an effort to come and meet us in Mumbai or not? Or if not that, we can probably meet midway in Lonavala or Khandala or somewhere. So I certainly, if you ask me, I see that President Joe Biden will also be meeting President Zelensky somewhere. It cannot happen that he will only meet the refugees from Ukraine who will come to Poland. He will also be there and tell them that we are in support of you, yes. But Uday, is that support enough? Is that symbolic support, the standing ovation that President Zelensky is getting at the US Congress Parliament and on the Western front, on those online sessions? Are those standing ovations enough to save the blood that has been drawn from Ukraine? Are those standing ovations enough to save the little child, the children who are dying over there, who are becoming orphans, the young girls who are becoming widows, the families which are breaking, the refugees who are leaving Ukraine? All that symbolism. President Zelensky himself said, now it's about time that the Western powers should come forward and prove that they are with us, and not just show by giving standing ovation and by clapping and by saying, we are with you. You are with me, all right, fine, but prove it. And today he's been left alone. It's a message to everyone, to every single human being, every individual, that if you are not on your own feet, nobody will come for your rescue at the end of the day. And US, the stance that they have taken, well, see, the US heads UN in a way, US heads NATO in a way, right? So it is responsibility of US to stand neutral. Only then can this be resolved. If US starts taking sides, which they are, then it would not come to any conclusion. Just yesterday, UK has said that they would be providing 6,000 more missiles to Ukraine. Ukraine at this time does not need bullets. They do not need firearms. They have the spirit of fighting, yes. I appreciate that. I respect that. But peace should prevail at all costs. They do not need firearms. That way you are adding more fuel to the fire. What they need, the energy that you are putting in, that much energy can be used to actually mediate. I agree that President Putin is very difficult and he would not listen. The sanctions will not work with them. Uday, if I take you back to 2014, when Russia had invaded Crimea, at that time they were G8 countries. Russia was removed from them and it was made G7. And President Putin, of course, that was one of the factors, one of the humiliations that he could not see, he could not take. Now when this G20 summit being held in November in Jakarta, at that time the Russian ambassador to Indonesia has already confirmed that President Putin has expressed his interest in coming forward. The Canadian Prime Minister, the UK Prime Minister, US, the Western powers, I would say, have said that no, President Putin should not be part of this. That would be further humiliation for him, and that will further aggravate the problem. We have to understand human psychology as well. Not all the problems are resolved in the same way. They have to actually analyze and see what is the situation, because peace has to prevail at any cost today. Because Russia is threatening chemical warfare, nuclear warfare, it will turn atom bombs will drop. Ultimately, the situation will go out of hand. And many analysts are saying, no, I don't think it will go nuclear. It's very easy to say that. It was very easy for me to have said a day before the war. I said on your channel, I don't think there'll be a war. Because we all are optimists. We all want to think well. We all want to see the best interest of humanity. In that intention we said that. But let me tell you, President Putin is quite capable of doing what he says. He's done it earlier, he's shown it, he's proved it. And it is like a person who's drowning, who has nothing to lose thereafter when he knows that he will drown. He will take other ships, other boats, other people along with him, and then he will drown. So Russia is going to drown for sure. They've seen a war, there are no winners. I'll conclude by saying, Uday, a war is something where young people who do not know each other, who do not hate each other, they fight and kill each other on the order of senior people who know each other, who hate each other, who fight with each other, but who do not kill each other.
Right. We have Major Mohammed Ali Shah at this point joining us, defense expert. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, we're getting, of course, developments that 900 residents of this Luhansk region have been evacuated to Western Ukraine on the 25th of March. How do you view this? And also, obviously, this shows us a bit about the evacuation pattern which has been reportedly taking place daily, despite the shelling.
Absolutely, Uday. You know, the evacuation has been going on very well, and in fact, India played a very good role in the evacuation when the Operation Ganga was super successful, I would say. We got back all our students except for one boy, of course, who was left behind, Naveen, who died over there. That's a different thing altogether. But then, yes, and also Russia now, it's about time, it's over a month. So they would, I presume, they would start changing their strategy now. They would say that, no, we would not go in for Kyiv. We would rather concentrate on the two Donbass areas, on Luhansk and Donetsk. And so that is where, and from there they are now getting people out to Western Russia. They are evacuating people from there. So most certainly people do not really want to intend killing civilians, and they want the maximum evacuation to take place. But it's been happening as part of collateral damage, and also because when civilians have arms and if they attack you, they are compelled to fire back. It really pains me, it really hurts seeing people die over there, and especially civilians, innocent civilians. So yes, when there is evacuation taking place, it is a good sign over there, and I think more evacuation, this procedure should just go on over there.
All right, stay with us. In fact, we're getting more breaking news now coming in. Russian occupiers are to force introduction of Russian ruble in temporarily occupied Tokmak. The Zaporizhzhia Oblast military administration has said that Russian occupying forces in the city of Tokmak are planning a full transition to the ruble starting from the 4th of April 2022. So Russia now attempting full control. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, wanting to introduce the ruble in areas that they've occupied.
They will try their best. They will, because even they are now fed up now. It's been a year, a month plus. And so yes, they will try introducing the ruble over there, and they will try putting their influence. But let's see how far they are successful. It is like, you can, one can get married to a lady, but one cannot win her love. At the end of the day, it's like, signing the documents, okay, fine. But then will you actually accept? Acceptance is what is important, and the Ukrainian people are not willing to accept. I'm like really aghast, I'm really amazed, and I must say, more respect for them for their nationalism. They are, earlier I thought they will just give in within 4 days. That was my analysis earlier, but no, they have fought till the end, which only goes to prove that for them, their freedom is more important, their identity is more important, and they would not accept Russia at any cost. They are not willing to do that. They are losing their family members, they are seeing bloodshed, but yet they are still fighting. So what does that go to prove? So yes, Russia can come and they'll try to introduce ruble, they will try to get the influence in those states, but would that be accepted? That is the golden question. Would they be accepted for that?
Indeed. More breaking developments, in fact, coming in now on the broadcast. About 300 people were killed after a Russian air attack blew up a drama theatre in Mariupol last week. Ukrainian authorities have claimed the theatre had been used as a shelter for civilians as Russian forces increased their attempts to take the Ukrainian port city. So more developments coming in, more details emerging of the strikes. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, which reportedly killed up to 300 people in one theatre which was blown up.
Very unfortunate over there. This theatre in Mariupol was blown up and there were about 300 casualties over there. Italy then did come forward and they say that they will take the responsibility and they will revamp it and they will build it up again. And President Zelensky also thanked them on Twitter, in fact. So it is really very sad. It is when, why I perceive why Russian troops would have done that. They would have felt a threat. They would have felt, even a snake would bite you if the snake would perceive a threat. Otherwise, it will just pass by. So the Russian troops, again, they would have felt a threat, I'm sure, and it was unjust. There is no justification for that. Very wrong and criminal, rather. So yes, and Ukraine, at the other hand, is getting devastated. But also, I perceive that Ukraine, once they know that they will fight till the last man, last bullet, last breath, everything fine. But then after all the damage to the economy has been done, they have to rebuild it thereafter, once and for all. They have to start again. The Hiroshima and Nagasaki was bombarded, they rose from the ashes, but they rose up again. Similarly, now Ukraine would want to rise up thereafter, and who will incur expenditure? Though President Zelensky has said that Russia is going to incur that expenditure, but Russia, which is going to be broke themselves, and it will be dependent on loans thereafter to sustain the war. It would be very, very difficult. And yes, when a theatre, earlier there were bombings on medical centers, on hospitals, on schools, and it was like really painful. And of course, there was a case of human rights violation in the International Court of Justice, and President Joe Biden also called President Putin a war criminal and a thug, and such language was used. So yes, when this is going on, it is very, very painful, and Uday, this thing is going to continue in case peace does not prevail over there. And the more you provide Ukrainians with weapons, the more the fighting spirit is there. Fighting spirit is there. But then peace has to prevail at any cost. Why is it that despite that? Okay, let's take an example of the world wars. Just now you were mentioning about US gave a very shocking remark on India's stand, as earlier Joe Biden had said 2 days back. Then there was a cover-up the next day by an authority from the US, and now once again there is a new remark that where it's almost similar to that we are shaky, right? We are not shaky. We are not shaky at all. Why should we spoil our relationship with a very stern, with a very reliable friend for an unreliable ally who has never supported, who's never lived up? Russia in 1971. When we have on war with Pakistan, that time America had supported Pakistan openly, blatantly, and they had sent support for Pakistan, and they had sent their ships. The US had sent the ships around the Indian Ocean. It was the Russian ships which came and shielded us. It was Russia which actually showed full support, unconditionally over there. Russia has always stood by us. Now, I am not saying that is the only reason why we should stand by Russia. We should not. We are taking a very neutral, non-aligned stand. If you see the history again, First World War, Second World War, who was instrumental in bringing in peace? It was the non-aligned nations. So the moment you align yourself, because now this war is becoming bigger. The world is getting split. Just like, today in today's world, a lot of WhatsApp groups are getting split. People are exiting groups. Similarly, there are people taking sides. Oh, I support Russia, I support Ukraine. People are putting up on social media. That will not help. That will not help. It makes no difference to Ukraine or to Russia who you support, where you give your support to. As the Western powers are saying that, it's about, as President Zelensky also said, it's about time the world powers should come in and do a protest. It will not help. Sanctions after sanctions on Russia will not help. Protests will not help. Showing solidarity with Ukraine would not help. What will happen, what will help is actually pressurizing and convincing. You can take a horse to the water, you can't make it drink. So there can be peace talks. Because you are saying, but from within, when it comes from within, when you are convinced, only then there is a change that happens. And President Putin needs to realize that now. Because if not now, it will be too late. And then slowly and gradually, I really fear that over there. I am an optimist. But yet, despite being an optimist, I fear that what if President Vladimir Putin decides to use a nuclear warfare, and then what if it becomes a third world war? I will give you two small examples again, which is very uncanny, Uday, very, very uncanny. It might sound very funny. The date of the First World War, 28th June 1914. The date of the Second World War, the start of it, 1st September 1939. The date when Russia attacked Ukraine, 24th February 2022. All these dates multiply into, well, I don't intend getting into much of numerology, but it is uncanny. Number 63. And that is how a domino effect follows thereafter. If peace, if it's not nipped in the bud at that time. Yes, you said something with it?
No, please complete your point.
Right. So that is what happens if it's not nipped in the bud. And as and when you encourage Ukraine to fight further and cheer them further, they will only fight further and there'll be further bloodshed. Who's losing out on it? Ukrainians, Russians. Who's gaining from it? Americans, Chinese. And let me tell you, our relationship with Russia is not just for fuel, or it's not just for oil. We have 10 other options. But yet we have taken a very, very balanced, a very mature stand. Let me tell you, in 2016, we have signed an agreement with the United States, which was the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement. And India was declared as a major defense partner with the United States. We are also a member of the Quad. It was formed in the year 2007 when the tsunami took place, and it was formed for any calamities. Ultimately, the resolution was, let's curb Chinese aggression in the Indo-Pacific and South China Sea. So Japan, Australia, America and India came forward, and they also decided to train their fighter pilots in the Anderson Air Force Base of America to curb Chinese aggression at the end of the day. Now, according to the Kelly and Laycock's book, which is a very reliable book, the United States has invaded or fought in 84 of the 193 countries recognized by the United Nations. Total of 195 countries, 2 have not been recognized by UN. So that's 193 countries, and has been military involved. Military involved means not just invaded or attacked, but they have been military involved. Like US is also military involved with us. They haven't attacked us, of course, thankfully, and they would not dare to do so also. And they've been military involved with 191 out of the 193 countries that are recognized by UN. That's a starking 93%, 98%. There are only 3 countries in the entire world, 3 countries where US has not interfered militarily. And these countries are Andorra, our dear friend Bhutan, and Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein, which is on the border of Switzerland and Austria. It's highly dependent on Switzerland for its economy. It's a small nation. They are the only 3 countries which are untouched by US at the end of the day. They attacked after Pearl Harbor in 1940s. The next biggest attack on US was by Osama bin Laden on 11 September 2001. And that time US launched a war against terror. They sent its troops to Iraq, to Libya, to Afghanistan. They destroyed Iraq completely. They executed President Saddam Hussein. They executed General Gaddafi in Libya, who had no idea, no clue about how the September 11 attack took place. They had no links with Osama bin Laden. They perhaps would have got to know as much when you and I got to know through news. But they executed them to show their power, that they had the might to do it, so they will do it. They have destroyed countries. Well, that no one calls wrong. That's no justification for Russia to invade. Yes, what Russia is doing is wrong. It is very wrong. No one stands by them, and everyone is saying that what they are doing, they have no right to invade a smaller country. It's like India tomorrow decides to invade Sri Lanka because it's small. No, it would not. And one more lesson home, Uday, one very important lesson learned. You know, all our business, we are doing well, all our materialistic things, all our 6-figure salaries, all our luxury lifestyle is worth nothing. Look at Ukraine. Is worth nothing if your military, if your borders are not guarded, if they are not strong. And the Indian Army is doing a very fine job, considering the hostile neighbor that we have. Towards the east is China, towards the west is Pakistan, who is using a proxy war and sending trained terrorists inside Jammu Kashmir. We are fighting a proxy war that way with Pakistan through the insurgency, through the terrorism in Jammu Kashmir. Look at the neighbor that we have. So people from Ukraine could go to their neighboring country, to Poland, to Romania, here, there. Where will India, where will we go if tomorrow, God forbid, if something like this happens to India? Our neighbors are not so friendly, apart from Nepal and Bhutan, of course, and Sri Lanka to some extent. But so a lesson learned here is, first, be on your own feet. Second, respect your army. It is because of your army that people today are able to flourish. People should realize that. And I see again today, I reinstate the fact that it is a non-aligned country. And who is US to preach to us? Are we taking any loan from US? Are we taking a single penny from them? It is up to us. Today, US realizes that they have a powerful leader in India who they cannot bully, who would not succumb to their demand.
Please stay with us. More breaking news coming in. Russian Defense Ministry has said on Friday that the first phase of its military operation was generally complete, saying the country will focus on the liberation of Ukraine's eastern Donbas region. The Defense Ministry stated that Russian-backed separatists have now controlled 93% of Luhansk and 54% of Donetsk, the self-proclaimed republics in Ukraine's east. The two together are commonly known as the Donbas region. So these, of course, are latest updates coming in. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, the military invasion, the first part of it by the Russians, complete, going according to plan.
Uday, they had actually earlier miscalculated. They had, I would not say they had overestimated themselves, they had underestimated Ukraine. And they thought they would do it, they'll switch it off within no time. But Ukraine put up a very good fight. Very, very good fight. They could not really capture Kyiv at the end of the day. So sorry. Okay, so they could not really capture Kyiv. And now they have, it's about time that Russia also, they realized that they have to change their strategy. So instead of focusing on Kyiv, they said, okay, let us focus on the eastern side of Ukraine, the two Donbas areas. And that is why they are concentrating there now. And yes, that strategy could work now there. Let's wait and see.
News meanwhile coming in. Explosions have been reported in Donetsk. These are breaking developments coming in right now. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, explosions being reported from Donetsk region.
Yes, so because these were actually always, they were troubled areas. And Donetsk and Luhansk, the two Donbas regions, this was long pending since the year 2014 in fact. And when they gain their independence now, there is going to be terrible insurgency there. And there is going to be very terrible insurgency there. So yes, they would, and this is just a start of that. Just a start focusing, they are focusing on in those regions. It's going to be worse, unfortunately.
Surge in China, UGC notice has been sent to Indian students studying there. These are, of course, the latest developments coming in. Major Mohammed Ali Shah is with us live, defense analyst. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, UGC is sending a notice to those students studying in China saying they must exercise caution as cases surge there.
We have 14,000 students right now in China, so they have to take caution. And you see, UGC, again, UGC is, I'll give you an example of the 20,000 students we evacuated from Ukraine. Of course, the Indian government is going to take action to make sure that their education does not suffer. And they are neighboring countries of Poland, in fact, have come off Ukraine. Neighboring country of Ukraine, Poland has come forward and they said, we will admit them in our universities over here. Similarly, we have 14,000 students in China. And yes, cases are surging over there. So Indian advisory is to be careful because we have to ensure the safety of our people first. So yes, I think I appreciate the advisory by the Indian government given.
Okay.